Welcome students, welcome to week 4, module 4. This week we are going to be learning about the community of inquiry and our first presence, the social presence, and we're also going to start working on our QM rubric reviews. So let's get started with the module overview. Okay, here we go. So this week we're going to continue our discussion on fostering online learning communities and how to successfully foster online learning communities with social presence, the first presence in Dr. Garrison's community of inquiry theoretical framework. So we've got our course learning objectives up here. At the top, we've got our learning objectives that meet our module learning objectives, which meet the course objectives. And down below, as always, is our checklist of activities of what our assignments and activities are this week. So let's go ahead and look at our course readings, videos, and podcasts. As we're continuing through the course, the rules will stay the same. Most weeks we'll have a video and podcast, sometimes one or the other, sometimes both, but the rule is you read the Garrison textbook, the e-learning in the 21st century, that's mandatory, and then you choose one video or one podcast from the list. And you guys have been doing a great job at that. Everybody's been choosing a lot of different ones, and we've got a variety in our discussions. So we're really learning a lot from each other. And I like how you guys are summarizing the research. Some of these things you're saying, I'm bookmarking. I'm going to use them in my presentations because I just can't remember every single detail that Randy Garrison says. And you guys bring up something, it's like, yes, that's a pearl. I bookmark it, I'll use it, and I know that you guys are learning from each other as well. So we've got several videos to choose from. And here's one podcast, T for Teaching. And you can choose a video or a podcast, plus your Garrison reading. Let's go back to modules. Let's try it this way. Here we go. All right, so I showed you our readings and videos. We have one discussion this week, discussion number 5, which is social presence. And I've linked the reading and video / podcast. I'll add podcast that. I added the resource list here, just linked it, so I didn't have to just duplicate it here. Just go back. You've got it in the module page, and here's a link that'll take you back as well. So you're going to create a post answering the following questions about social presence. I won't read through each of them. You can read through each carefully, and remember my instructions on please do not use quotations in your posts. I prefer you to paraphrase and summarize to implement your critical thinking skills in your writing, synthesizing those readings versus I prefer to hear your voice synthesizing the readings versus the video or the podcast or the reading. Just gets you to think and analyze more. You guys are doing a great job though on your posts. Just keep in mind the no quotation marks and the quote no quotations. And the other thing that's persisting a little bit, some are still working on the APA. That's okay because it's a tricky thing to learn. So this is a safe place to learn it before you submit a publication and are rejected because your APA is off. And believe me, that's happened. They're real sticklers on these journal articles and scholarly publications. You could even format a table wrong or something and it's reject. So let's get this done. Let's get this learned now in a low stakes environment versus, grants or publications that aren't accepted because these APA styles are off. So be very careful about your citations, your references. Remember, references are different depending on if it's a podcast, a video, a book, a journal article. They each are slightly different, and all those details matter. The italics, the capitals, periods for citations. The common problem I'm seeing with citations is people are putting the citation after the period, or they're putting period, citation, period. It's the rule for the citation is the citation goes at the end of the sentence before the period. The period closes the sentence. But you can go to the Purdue OWL APA website. Some of you have told me you have the APA, the actual APA manual. That's golden as well. Use your preferred resource for APA, and that way you can get all your points. So let's go back. And we begin our two-part QM rubric reviews this week. This week, part 1 is due. And really, for part 1, you don't need to submit anything. So part 1 is reviewing the QM rubric just to get a feel for it. We've got 3 different versions of the QM rubric here. You can choose which one you like. Just start getting familiar with it. And that's part 1 for this week. Now part 2, let's see, part 2 is due next week. You're going to come back to 4.4 next week and post here. Let's go ahead and look at part 2 just so we know what's going on here in this assignment. But you're going to review the rubric and use the annotated rubric to create a document. You're going to annotate for this activity. And then you're going to use this annotated document to review this course, your EDLT 560 course, and focus on how this course is designed to build and foster online learning and knowledge building community. And then you're going to annotate the rubric based upon what you find. And then you're going to post your rubrics. You're going to post your rubrics to the discussion. Some of you have already started posting because you want to move on to the next activity, and that's fine. You can just say work in progress if you're still working on it. But if you're saying work in progress and you're just posting it and then moving on to the next module, be sure and come back and edit that same post. We don't want a lot of separate posts saying work in progress, work in progress. Come back, edit, delete your work in progress, and keep working on the same post. So then after you review the course, you have a discussion, and you're going to respond to at least 3 other class members, and you're just assessing how they use the QM review and noticing some similarities and differences between how you reviewed the course. And you've got 3 prompts to follow here specifically about the QM rubric. Again, I'm not going to read it verbatim. You can spend some time and ponder these reflection posts, and then you can start discussing next week for QM rubric review part 2. Also, we begin the Great Debates this week. The Great Debates is also a 2-part, really it's a 3-part, but the 3rd part is its own assignment. The first 2 is the first week you're going to find a con of barriers relating to fostering online learning communities. And then let's go ahead and look at it. Great Debate Part 1. We're looking at the problems of online learning communities, and you have resources, and you need to choose one of these. You've got a variety, and the beauty of having a lot and you choose one is you're going to learn a lot from your peers who have chosen different articles. And then you're also going to incorporate our textbook, Garrison's Community of Inquiry, and the 3 presences, and start getting all your information together. There's a lot of pros and cons in the literature. It's not all glory. There's some messy parts of online learning communities. So part 1 of the debate, you're going to take a position that an online learning community is negative. Okay, even if that's not how you feel, for the purposes of this debate, the first post is online learning communities is negative, and you need to elaborate and identify the problematic issues related to online learning communities, and then use your best debate voice. Now, I never thought I needed to say this until I needed to say it, so I'm going to say it. Please be respectful in your debates. You can debate issues, but please never attack the person who holds these ideas. So keep it very respectful. You've got the criteria here of you need to be on topic, 300 to 500 words. You need at least one reference, and your reference should be in APA format. Then you're going to quickly skim everybody's posts, and I'll make sure that sorry, got lost there for a minute. So go ahead and post your post about the position that online learning community is negative. After you post, then skim several other posts and try and add a different problem issue so that we have a variety in our debate. That makes me think right now that I need to go in and make sure after this, I'm going to make sure that I lift the restriction of you must post before you've seen responses, because in this case, I do want you to skim through. I don't want a lot of the same arguments. I would rather have different ones. So we have a lot of them. So please try not to duplicate anybody else's argument. Try to find another argument from the literature. And you can use multimedia for this debate. I saw one person has already posted a video for it, and I really appreciate that person who did the video. She also put a transcript, which is really, really helpful, and so that we can go back and review what was said in the video. So I love that use of the transcript. Not required, but extremely helpful for the users and accessibility friendly, adding a transcript. So if you want to do a slideshow, a video, some multimedia, or you can do an audio or a text-based post. And so that is part one. And part two, we'll go ahead and look at it, preview for next week. We'll go over it again next week. But we're identifying some problems this week, but what are some solutions? Part two is addressing those problems with the negative issues that we came up with the Great Debate Part 1 this week, and then coming up with solutions and positive aspects. So you're going to choose two of the posts, the negative posts, to debate. Again, the posts are going to be about 300 to 500 words, contain at least one references from the readings, the same readings in Part 1. They should be in APA format. And again, you can use multimedia if you like. So that's part one and part two of the Great Debates. And you'll use this discussion here, 4.5, for both posts this week and next week. Just like for the QM rubric reviews, part one and part two are going to go in the same one. There's not separate assignments for these. Then we have an extra credit opportunity this week. If you'd like to work with a study buddy or a group, your group, either a group or one other person, to complete the QM rubric review activities, you can do that. Just let me know here in this assignment, and I'll give you extra credit for this assignment. There's 3 points available. And as always, we end with our final module summary, which is a checklist. Make sure everything was completed. You can go through the checklist and make sure you've completed everything. Once you've completed the module, you can move on to module 5. Let me just say, some of you guys are moving ahead, and that's okay. But there may be some things I need to lock down, because I don't want you to get too far ahead on some of these projects, because you can't really do some of the later projects until you've started learning about all the presences. So please do not get too far ahead on projects. I'm going to go through and see which ones we need to just wait, hold off, don't complete yet, like in week 7, week 6, because I'd hate for you to do it now and you've only learned social presence. You need to be building your learning as you go. So pace yourself and don't just speed through the course. And I've released it based upon prerequisites, so it's not necessarily going to become available on next Monday. It's as you finish the module, you can go on to the next. Just be mindful of don't work too far ahead on these projects until you've got some more of the presences under your belt. So that is week 4. And if there are any questions about week 4, go ahead and post a message underneath the announcement of this video, or in one of the helpful discussion forums, or as always, you can shoot me an email. And I look forward to hearing from you this week, and have a great week. We'll see you next week. Bye.